Hey everyone, this is Dan Kamenstein. Becky Etheridge asked me to spend a little bit of time going over the answers to our most recent case-based quiz on the abdomen. So if you remember, this was a case of Mr. Brokestone who came in with some right-sided flank pain. Now the first question, we asked you just to upload your images. So we wanted you to upload images of the right upper quadrant, left upper quadrant, as well as images of the right kidney and the left kidney. The second question states that during your evaluation, you found out that Mr. Brokestone has some ascites. And we asked you to place an arrow in the location of where you would expect to find ascites in a patient laying flat. Now he was laying flat because he was on the CT scanner. And so the most dependent portion of the abdomen in this case is Morison's pouch. And so that's the potential space between the liver and the kidney. So the arrow there should have been pointing to Morison's pouch and the potential space there between the liver and the kidney. In the next question, it tells you that Mr. Brokestone has developed some shortness of breath and is found to have a large left pleural effusion on chest x-ray. And so you're supposed to place an arrow where you would expect to find that pleural effusion. So remember, Mr. Brokestone is laying flat. And so this is your left upper quadrant image. Here we can see the spleen as well as the left kidney. And the arrow there is pointing above the diaphragm. And that's the left thoracic cavity. Now, remember, behind the spleen and the kidney is the spine. And then if we look above the spleen, that is actually the flank. So I was told there was a little bit of confusion about this. So I took from our ultrasound simulator here. So here on the left side of the screen, you can see kind of a cross-section of what the anatomy would look like. This is from the right upper quadrant, but the idea in the left upper quadrant is the same. So remember, the ultrasound beam is going to cut through the flank. And so everything against the probe itself, so starting from the top of the screen down, everything against the probe itself is actually part of the flank. The ultrasound probe then images through the liver and kidney on the right side or through the spleen and the kidney on the left side. So remember, your diaphragm is going to attach back here posteriorly to the spine, and then it does sit up on top of the liver. But remember, the top of the liver is not where your probe is placed. Your probe is placed on the flank. The top of the liver is here. And just in the same way, the top of the spleen is the upper part of your screen. So really, the diaphragm runs up here. It does not run here where the probe is touching the patient. So remember, that's where you're coming from the flank. So this here, if you look at this image again, so this is where the diaphragm connects to the spine. This is where it's running on top of the spleen, because remember, this part of your probe is facing towards the head, and that part of your probe is facing towards the feet. All right, so question 4 then asked what you would expect to find if Mr. Brokestone developed a kidney stone. And in this case, you see the arrow pointing to the center of the kidney, and that's where you would expect to find hydronephrosis. So that central collecting system of the kidney starts to dilate when you have a patient who has a ureteral stone, and then urine backs up into the kidney. And so we would look at the central portion of the kidney and we'd expect to see some hydronephrosis there. And we went through that during our lecture before lab last time. All right, the final question asked you to think about where you would look for a psoas muscle abscess. And so this was a little bit trickier. Here we are on the right side. So remember, we decided based on the question that patient had a right-sided flank pain. And so we're looking at the right psoas muscle. So this arrow should be behind the kidney, but above the spine. So here we can see liver. So liver in the primary portion of the picture, and we can see the kidney below it. And the psoas muscle is going to run behind the kidney, but above the spine. And if you look at a cross-section again, here I'm going to take this cross-sectional image here. As we're imaging through the flank, what we hit first is liver, and then we hit kidney, and then behind the kidney, closest to the spine, is where the psoas muscle is going to run. And so that's where your arrow should have pointed, is behind the psoas muscle. Now, in this case, you did not have to find the psoas muscle in your image. all we wanted you to think about was relative anatomy, is where is the psoas muscle related in relation to the kidney and the spine. And so even if you didn't have a clear spine in your image or a clear psoas muscle, all we wanted you to do was identify that the psoas muscle should be somewhere behind the right kidney. So those are the answers to the 5 quiz questions. Hopefully this gave you a chance to start thinking about how we're going to put this all together for the FAST exam, and then also how anatomy is related to each other, and also a little bit how ultrasound can certainly make you think 3-dimensionally. Certainly, if you have any other questions, get in touch with me or Dr. Etheridge. Thanks very much.